It Couldn't Be Done by Edgar Albert Guest. Somebody said that it couldn't be done, but he with a chuckle replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would be one who wouldn't say so till he'd tried. So he buckled right in with the trace of a grin on his face. If he worried he hid it, he started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. Somebody scoffed, "Oh, you'll never do that, at least no one ever has done it." But he took off his coat and he took off his hat, and the first thing we knew, he'd begun it. With a lift of his chin and a bit of a grin, without any doubting or quit it, he started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. There are thousands to tell you it cannot be done. There are thousands to prophesy failure. There are thousands to point out to you one by one the dangers that wait to assail you. But just buckle in with a bit of a grin, just take off your coat and go to it. Just start to sing as you tackle the thing that cannot be done, and you'll do it. Gist learning and the art of appreciation. The purpose of gist learning will vary dependent on when you start using a gist learning technique. It's normally given to adolescents. So in my case, apprenticeships weren't a possibility for me because I didn't have enough practical skills. The proactive, just getting on and do something to a high standard part of my brain just wasn't enough when I was an adolescent, and neither was further education really an option, because my reactive, where I think clearly about everything that I'm doing before I do it, that wasn't good enough either. So gist learning just goes over your brain bias, and it just gives you a little proactive part of your brain a massage, and then it gives you reactive part of your brain a massage, and you do that for 1 minute a day, and that's it. That's literally all you do. And as you're doing that, you then choose your education, what books to study, that kind of stuff. And so because it's so vague and general, the kind of books that you'll be looking to use, and these are the best ones, you get all the information you need in about 12 hours in these books. And that's How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Shinn, and It Works by R.H. Jarrett. Dale Carnegie wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People. And these books and their related books will all tie in perfectly with everything that's in this video. So if you say a 1 minute gist mnemonic every day, along with reading these books which teach you how to carry yourself and, express your confidence and all this kind of stuff, then it works. But you can literally do it just with 1 minute a day, and just leave it for time, and things will click in your brain. Once you keep hammering that order over and over in your brain just gets used to it, and then you find that you're about 90% anyway doing what gist learning is all about. It's about realizing, oh no, this is super important, because once you get into the workplace, there's certain jobs where if you don't order your brain every day in line with the industry that you're working in, and that's every industry, you'll kind of end up with a job that's just not as good as the job that you could have got. You'll be overtaken by people who are younger than you. And so when I learned this when I was 17, I was overtaking people in jobs that had been in them for 10 years, 15, 20 years, just because I had gist learning. And that was, and so as a result, my working practices every day were in line with gist business practice, which is basically just common sense. That's business common sense. And so anyone else who practices gist learning every day, your bosses basically, to keep the business running, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for a pattern of behavior that's linked to a pattern of thinking. And as a result, if you apply it, as soon as you apply gist thinking, everything changes in your outlook towards how you approach your day. And because it's only day by day, you have as much time in the world to think about how you're going to plan your next day, because just thinking works on the basis that the quality of your day to day is based on, deliberate, structured, ordered planning yesterday or the day before or the day before that. So you have to do the work up front with gist learning. You have to just think about it every day, literally every single day, consider it for a minute, and then just work it into your life, and that's it. And so when I was 17, I was able to find businesses who were interested in me, who had a lot of money available. They would give me great working conditions, and I was able to literally feel if that business was thriving or surviving, or it was going to languish and disappear before I've got anything out of it. And so I was able to work for surviving and thriving businesses all the time through my career, because I could literally feel whether the business was worth working for through just learning, and then I could add value to that business for as long as I was there. And that's not all in management roles. Sometimes it's in management, in sales. Sometimes it's just very basic roles. I've done warehousing, driving, all kinds of jobs. Just learning is about using your mind and your body in the environment and at the right time in your life. So as your mind and body changes as you go through life, you might want to change your environment as well, and just learning enables you to change your environment. And it's so you can basically feel the company's performance. One of the companies I worked for, I can even show you the graph. I could feel them on the rise in that graph, and then it's one of the three companies that then take a dive and then have a resurgence. And I was in that company during the dive and the resurgence, and I could obviously feel the dive, but I didn't lose my job or anything, because you need just thinkers to keep the company going. So anyone that works in a particular way will always survive the peaks and troughs of a business. But then when it's on the rise, you can see if it's a good rise or a short-term rise, and I could feel it was a short-term rise. So I left in 95, and well, as you can see, the business just languished over time. And it's not because I left, it's because that was the business gist. The business policies were all out of line with gist, and the way I was treated in that business in comparison to how they treated me at the start, they literally lost the gist of business. And so when you lose the gist of business, you lose employees who have the gist, and therefore you lose money, and the business languishes. So you can be anywhere in a business and be super effective. You could be the most important person within that business, no problem at all. And so with just learning, really within a few months of just ordering your brain, you'd be surprised at the kind of things that your brain can come up with. You end up being able to come up with all kinds of different formula to help the business move forward. You can come up with different projects to help your colleagues. You come up with ways of managing your own mental health, because you're literally looking at your own mental health every single day in order to build confidence. So when I used it in just learning in sales, the whole point was to make the customer feel comfortable in that environment, and recreate the mindset that people have when they feel good about a product and they want to buy it. And that was my job face to face, and I used just learning to just apply all the right words at the right time, and it worked absolutely fine. But the important thing is that daily repetition. You will not learn anything through just learning unless you apply it every day, and you have to apply it every day because your competition is doing that. So if you've ever not got on in work, in school, in college, in university, just make sure that your learning and your daily activities are within the GIST framework, which is what the working place and leisure and everything is all framed around a GIST practice. And if you'd like me to teach you that live, no problem at all. If the appreciation's there for this video, I'll happily show you how you can work through it on a daily basis. But if you want to get the best out of your education, the best out of your environment, your relationships, how you raise your children, there's a definite fixed order built into people that's called the gist, and once you get used to that order, you can then pretty much, well, you can solve over 90% of your own problems, and the other 7% you'll know someone, because you just treat people well and people look after you if you're in a, you need a bit of money or whatever. And so yeah, learn gist learning. It's absolutely essential. My channel would not even exist without it. You simply can't take in huge amounts of information and then produce something of a reasonable quality without having it ordered correctly in your mind, and that's where gist learning comes in. So I'll put a 1-minute mnemonic on my channel, and that is basically the structure of the words that you say every day, and from that you can then use those words to become an author. You'd have all of the English language at your disposal. You'll be able to create works that are emotional and they take the readers in the right direction. Anything that needs words or language or behaviour to get the most out of the situation, that's a gist language environment. And if you don't have your gist language, then you'll never get quite as far as you want to. So there we go. If you'd like me to do more, let me know, show your appreciation, and in the meantime, read these books. They are fantastic. You'll have all these books read way before anything that I produce next, and you'll be well on your way. There is a structure, there's a way to learn, there's a way to do business, and if you take advantage of it, you can be the most valuable person in your environment, whether it's the school, whether it's the workplace, whether it's university. Whoever practices the gist and the order of how to communicate effectively better and most often, they win. That's the gist of life. That's the whole point. Anyway, thanks for listening, and if you'd like me to do another video, I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.